morning, everyone. Today we are going to start our fourth unit, and it is about pericyclic reactions. So, what do you mean by pericyclic reaction? In majority of organic reactions, we have studied so many types of organic reactions, and we have discussed their mechanism. They generally, most of them, they proceed by a polar or a radical pathway. So a polar or radical pathway means they may have some transition state, they may have some intermediates, and generally they are carbocations, they are carbanions, they could be free radicals. So most of the organic reactions they proceed like this. But in organic chemistry, we also have a certain group of reactions which do not involve any polar or radical reagent or any polar or radical transition state. They are practically uninfluenced by the change of the polarity, by change of the solvent, presence of radical initiators. They are not affected by this. So this is the case with pericyclic reactions. They are a special category of organic reactions which are practically not affected by the polar or radical reagent. They are not affected by solvent. And one example is Diel-Hilder reaction. So in this reaction, what happens? You can see this is butadiene. This is my butadiene molecule, and this is a substituted diene. So on a diene, there is addition of a dienophile which has affinity for some diene. So what is my dienophile? It is some substituted ethylene having substituent X and Y. It gets add over the cyclobutadiene. So what happens here? Two pi bonds. Here we have two pi bonds, and here we have one pi bond. So in this system, what happens? In place of two pi bond, now in the product we have only one pi bond. So on the expense of two pi bond, we have one pi bond, and a new sigma bond is formed. So this is most common example of pericyclic reaction, Diel-Hilder reaction. But we have a large variety, a large category of pericyclic reaction, different type of pericyclic reactions. So we will discuss them one by one in our unit 4 and unit 5. Both are about the pericyclic reaction. So the unit 4 is much more concerned towards the principle and the HOMO approach and frontier molecular orbital approach of such reaction. And in the second unit, that is the unit 5, it is more concerned about the electrocyclic reactions. So pericyclic reactions are very special type of organic reactions, and they are different from all other type of organic reactions, that they are not affected by solvent, presence of any radical initiator. With the change in the polarity of solvent, they are unaffected, and also they are not involving any intermediate. So they are what? They are concerted mechanism. They occurs in a single step. There is no formation of a intermediate, rather a cyclic transition state form. So how it happens? What are pericyclic reactions? We can define them like they are the concerted reactions which proceed via cyclic transition state. So what are pericyclic reaction? They are concerted reaction, occurs in a single step, and they proceed via cyclic transition state. So they do not involve formation of any intermediate. I have told you what is the difference between intermediate and transition state. We can isolate an intermediate from any organic reaction, but we cannot isolate any transition state, because transition state is not an actual moiety. It is not an actual ion or atom or radical. This basically what? There is simultaneously formation of bond and breaking of bond. So we call it a transition state. It is more like an activated complex. So the pericyclic reactions involve a cyclic transition state. And all of them, all categories of pericyclic reactions, they are concerted and they involve a cyclic transition state. So the electronic rearrangements involved in the bond breaking and bond making proceed simultaneously. There is simultaneous breaking of bond and formation of bond. So they are what? They are one step process and we call it a concerted reaction. Now, why they are so important? These reactions are so important because their transition states are cyclic and the reactions are attended by a high degree of stereoselectivity. Stereoselectivity is, what is the stereochemistry of product after pericyclic reaction? That is actually very important and that makes this topic of organic chemistry really important one. How the stereochemistry of product changes. In many of the pericyclic reactions, the stereochemistry is conserved and in some of the reactions, the stereochemistry is now reversed. So we will discuss these things in detail. Now, what are the other properties? Now, like I have told you, they are unaffected by polar reagent, they are unaffected by solvent change and radical initiators. But yes, they are influenced by heat and light. They have certain effect of heat and light on them. Some of the reactions are possible in presence of heat only, and some of the reactions are feasible only if you conduct them in the light. So some require activation energy in the form of heat and some require activation energy in the form of light or photochemical energy. So these are the pericyclic reactions having concerted mechanism, a cyclic transition state and affected by heat and light. Now what happens? Let us discuss the very common example, that is dimerization of olefin to cyclobutane. Olefin is simple alkene molecule and it dimerizes. Two alkene molecules get attached together and forms what? Cyclobutane. When this reaction happens in the presence of simple heat, the product is not formed and we get very poor result. But when the same reaction is carried out photochemically by providing light, by giving photons, so such photochemically induced reaction give very good result. When in case of simple dimerization of olefin. So it says that this reaction is not proceeding via any simple mechanism. It involves certain factors which are not dependent on the type of solvent, on the type of molecule. They depend on certain other factors. So this was also a type of pericyclic reaction. So how this term was introduced, how the scientists discovered the entire new category of reactions. So there were some scientists, Woodward, Hoffman, and so many others. They have shown that these contrasting results, like the reaction is feasible in case of light and not possible in case of heat, or it is possible with heat and not possible in photochemical condition. So why is it so? These contrasting results can be explained by the principle of conservation of orbital symmetry. It was seen that these reaction proceeds due to a certain feature in their due to a certain feature in their stereochemistry. So some reactions are symmetry allowed and some reactions are symmetry forbidden. Some reactions, like I have told you, some reactions are not possible in case of heat, but they are possible in case of light. So these reactions were symmetry allowed in case of light and symmetry forbidden in case of heat. So due to the symmetry of orbitals, when the reaction was possible, when the reaction is possible, we call it a symmetry allowed reaction. And when just because of the symmetry of the orbitals, the reaction is not possible, we call it a symmetry of orbital reaction. So these scientists saw that these reactions, these special category of reaction, they are actually affected by the symmetry of their orbitals. They are symmetry governed reaction more than any reagent governed reaction or any intermediate governed reaction. They are more symmetry governed reaction. The reaction is actually taking place due to symmetry of orbitals. So they give orbital symmetry rules and we call them Woodward-Hoffmann rules. They apply only to the concerted reaction. These rules are only for the pericyclic reaction which occur in the concerted form. So the method that we use to address these type of reaction is frontier orbital approach. Frontier orbital approach. And now let us see what is it. Frontier orbital approach is related to the frontier molecular orbitals of a molecule. Now, this phenomena is very important in case of conjugated system. The pericyclic reactions, they are a special category of reactions which characterize conjugated system. So these frontier orbitals are basically present in any conjugated system. And they're just like the outer shell of electron of an atom is regarded as specially significant in determining the chemistry of that atom. Like you get the electronic configuration of an atom and then you tell that because the outer electronic configuration is 2 electron less than it has to accept 2 electrons, or outer electronic configuration has one excess electron. If it lose 1 electron, then what will happen? Now it will get a stable state, form a monopositive ion, and in this manner you determine what? You determine the chemistry of that atom. What is its electronic configuration, especially in the outermost shell. So similarly, in case of molecule, their frontier molecular orbitals are the ones which determine their reactivity, and especially the highest occupied molecular orbital. So, what is highest occupied molecular orbital? We call it HOMO. HOMO is highest occupied molecular orbital that actually determines the reactivity of a molecule. And this is termed as the frontier orbital. So, in case of pericyclic reaction, scientists have seen that these reactions are affected by only the symmetry of the orbital and especially symmetry of the HOMO, symmetry of the highest occupied molecular orbital of the molecule. And therefore, they remain unaffected if you change the solvent, if you change any reagent, they are not affected. Rather, they are affected by the molecule itself and heat and light. So, this approach is called the Frontier Molecular Orbital Approach, FMO approach, Frontier Molecular Orbital Approach. And this approach addresses the mechanism of pericyclic reaction, why they have the concerted mechanism, why they are so quick, why they are affected by heat and light. All these answers, all these questions can be answered using this Frontier Molecular Orbital approach. So this theory is based on two principles. Two principles are there in case of frontier molecular orbital approach. So, since the ground state of almost all the molecules have a pair of electron in the HOMO. HOMO is what? Highest occupied molecular orbital. So this will be the molecular orbital having electrons in it. And this should be the molecular orbital with electrons. So in all the molecules, you have seen the molecular orbital theory. And in molecular orbital theory, what happens? Atomic orbitals overlap each other and they form molecular orbitals of same number. Like suppose two atomic orbitals have overlap, then two molecular orbitals will be formed. And now the energy of these two atomic orbitals is redistributed. So how they redistributed their energy? when two atomic orbitals overlap to form two molecular orbitals, one molecular orbital is having lower energy than both the atomic orbital, and one molecular orbital will have higher energy as compared to both the atomic orbital. So the molecular orbital having lower energy, we call it bonding molecular orbital, and the molecular orbital having higher energy, what do we call it? We call it anti-bonding molecular orbital.
Antibonding
Yes,
molecule.
yes, very good. So we call it anti-bonding. So what happens generally in the ground state of almost all type of molecules? They have this HOMO, and HOMO is the highest occupied molecular orbital. It could be bonding, it could be anti-bonding, right? You have prepared the molecular orbital diagram of nitrogen, of carbon monoxide, different moieties. For different moieties, you have prepared the molecular orbital diagram, and you have seen that in some molecules the last orbital that has electron, sometimes it is the bonding orbital and sometimes it is the anti-bonding molecular orbital. So what happens when the molecules having HOMO in them, when the bonding interaction takes place? What happens? When two molecules are coming together, molecules are formed by atoms. Atoms have their atomic orbitals. These atomic orbitals have already overlapped together and they have formed a molecular orbital. So when the two molecules are approaching each other, they don't have atomic orbitals, rather they have molecular orbitals. So, which molecular orbital will react with the other molecule's orbital? So, according to the Pauli's exclusion principle, one molecule, HOMO of one molecule, cannot react with the HOMO of other molecule. Why is it so? One molecule of HOMO cannot react with the HOMO of other molecule, because according to the Pauli's exclusion principle, the orbital occupancy cannot be greater than 2. Orbital occupancy is, in any orbital, how many electrons could be present in any orbital? What is the maximum number of electrons that are present in any orbital? It is 2, right? Any orbital, whether it is atomic orbital or molecular orbital, it cannot have more than 2 electrons. So this is the orbital occupancy, and according to the Pauli's principle, this cannot be more than 2. No orbital can hold 3 electrons. No orbital can hold 4 electrons. The maximum number should be 2. So, if the HOMO of one molecule, which is already having 2 electron or 1 electron, will overlap with another molecule's HOMO, then what will happen? This Pauli's principle will be violated and orbital occupancy will be greater than 2. So, what happens? HOMO of one reactant overlaps with the LUMO of the other molecule. Now, what is this LUMO? LUMO is lowest unoccupied molecular orbital. Lowest unoccupied, the orbital, the molecular orbital which is not having any electrons. This is the LUMO. So when you have drawn the molecular orbital diagram of different molecule, you have seen that after filling all the electrons, the orbital above to this, they all are empty. When you have completely filled the electrons, all the remaining molecular orbitals are empty. So these empty orbitals, among these empty orbitals, the molecular orbital having the lowest energy will be my LUMO. So what happens when, what will be my symmetry allowed reaction when the HOMO of one molecule reacts with the LUMO of the other? So this is the symmetry allowed interaction. It is expected that the HOMO of one reactant would interact efficiently with the LUMO of the second molecule. And this is my first principle. In the frontier molecular orbital approach, it has been said that the HOMO of one reactant, one molecule, will interact with the LUMO of the other molecule. So I hope this first principle is now clear to you. Now, according to the second principle, the second principle says that in the orbitals are what? You have drawn their diagram. So in any orbital, we have two lobes. One is the positive lobe and another is the negative lobe. I am sure that you have noticed this thing that all the orbitals have two lobes except the s orbital. S orbital does not have two lobes, but p orbital, d orbital, they all are having two lobes. One is the positive lobe and another one is the negative lobe. So what will be the symmetry allowed interaction? Only the shaded lobe. If the positive lobe of one molecule, positive lobe of one orbital in one molecule overlaps with the positive lobe of another orbital of another molecule, then this is my symmetry allowed interaction. So positive positive can overlap and negative negative can overlap. Overlapping between the positive lobe and the negative lobe is not possible. So that will be symmetry forbidden reaction. when when the positive lobe of one orbital interacts with overlaps with the negative lobe of another orbital. So this is symmetry forbidden. So this is my second principle. So the pericyclic reactions are governed, all the pericyclic reactions, whatever category they belong to, they all are governed by two simple principles. One is HOMO of one molecule interacts with the LUMO of the another molecule, and positive lobe overlaps with the positive lobe and negative lobe overlaps with the negative lobe. So let us see now let us apply these principles to different type of pericyclic reactions. These pericyclic reactions are generally of three types. First is the cycloadditions. Second is electrocyclic reactions. Third, sigmatropic rearrangement. So all these reactions are given here with their example. This second reaction is what? This is cycloaddition. Cycloaddition is when addition of the two moieties takes place and we have a cyclic product. It's a simple addition reaction. Okay, we have two molecules involved, and this is my diene and this is my dienophile. This is simple what? Diels-Alder reaction. Diels-Alder reaction is a simple cycloaddition reaction. So this is my diene, this is my dienophile. It adds to this butadiene and forms a cyclic product. So this is a simple addition reaction which results into the formation of a cyclic product, and this is a cycloaddition reaction. This is the type of pericyclic reaction and it occurs in concerted step, follows concerted mechanism, and also it proceeds via a cyclic transition state. Okay, so you can call a chemical reaction as a pericyclic reaction when it meets two conditions, right? When it has concerted mechanism and when it proceeds through a cyclic transition state. So my cycloaddition reaction, like Diels-Alder reaction, it is a kind of pericyclic reaction. Another category is electrocyclic reaction. So this is example of electrocyclic reaction. In this only one molecule is involved. Okay, we don't have second reagent here. Only one molecule is involved, and what happens? It cyclizes with the distribution of electron. It cyclizes itself, and this cyclization could be in the influence of heat. This cyclization can take place in photochemical pathway. So in both the conditions, one molecule cyclizes and form a cyclic product, and that is why we call it electrocyclic reaction. So here on the expense of 2 pi electron, now we have only 1 pi electron and 1 sigma electron. Here on the expense of 3 pi electron, I have only 1 pi electron and 2 sigma, on the expense of 3 pi bonds, I have 1 pi bond and 2 sigma bond. And the last category is sigmatropic rearrangement. Sigmatropic rearrangement, it means there is rearrangement of sigma bond. Like you can see here I have a sigma bond, right? This is my sigma bond with H. and now it has just changed its position, and now I have it here. So this is the rearrangement of sigma bond, and this also occurs by concerted mechanism and through a cyclic transition state, and this is also a very important category of pericyclic reaction. So we have three broad categories of pericyclic reaction. One is the cycloaddition reaction, where I have two molecules. Three pi bonds are on the expense of three pi bond. One pi bond and two sigma bonds are formed. Second category is electrocyclic reaction, where cyclization of a conjugated system takes place. Not only the butadiene, it can be 1,3,5 octatriene, and in that case, the product form will be different. So one conjugated system cyclizes itself by redistribution of electrons, and we call it electrocyclic reaction. So one pi and one sigma bond is formed. There is a decrease in the number of pi bond by 1. If I have three pi bonds here, if I have three pi bonds here in my reagent, then in the product I will have two pi bond and one sigma bond. Sigma bond will always be 1. Why? Because they are ring closing reactions. So the formation, only one sigma bond will be formed. Whatever reactant you are taking here, but the number of pi bond will reduce by 1. So if I have two pi bond here, I will have one pi bond in my product. If I have three pi bonds here, I will have two pi bond in my product. This is electrocyclic reaction, and last one is sigma-tropic reaction, where the sigma bond is rearranged. It has changed its position. Again, that is also due to electronic displacement, electronic redistribution, and they are also what? They are pericyclic reaction. Now let us discuss the very first category, that is cycloaddition reaction. And we will see these reactions, we will address their mechanism by our frontier molecular orbital approach, that is FMO. We will apply FMO approach here in the case of cycloadditions. So what are the cycloaddition reaction? A reaction in which two unsaturated molecules combine to form a cyclic compound. So what I have as my reagent, as my reactant, I have two unsaturated molecules. And during the reaction, what happens? They combine together, they simply add over each other, and I have a cyclic product. So with pi electrons being used to form and two new sigma bond, we call it a cycloaddition reaction. So I have two molecules involved. Whenever I have two molecules, these type of pericyclic reaction will be cycloaddition only, because all the other type of pericyclic reaction, they have only one reactant. Okay, in case of electrocyclic reaction, they have only one reactant. In case of sigma-tropic rearrangement also we have one reactant. But whenever I will have two reactant involved, this is my electrocyclic reaction. Cycloaddition reaction. So the cycloaddition reaction, we can further classify them depending upon the number of pi electrons in the two component. How many pi electrons are there in my two components? So these can be 2 plus 2 cycloaddition and 4 plus 2 cycloaddition. So if I recall the previous example, what type of cycloaddition is this? Any guesses? What kind of cycloaddition is this? Is it 2 plus 2 cycloaddition or 4 plus 2 cycloaddition? Any guesses? So if you can see, okay, so if you can see, here I have two pi bond and one bond will involve two electrons, right? One bond have two electrons. So in my two pi bonds, I have four electrons, and here in I have one pi bond, so I have two electrons. So 4 pi electrons are here and 2 pi electrons are here. So what kind of cycloaddition it is? It is 4 plus 2 cycloaddition. Okay, 4 plus 2 cycloaddition. One reagent is having 4 pi electron and other reagent is having 2 pi electron. Similarly, we can have 2 plus 2 cycloaddition, and the example is like dimerization of alkene, dimerization of olefin to form cyclobutene. In that case, both the reagent will have 2 pi electron and 2 pi electron. So on the basis of my the number of pi electrons in any of the component, we call it 2 plus 2 or 4 plus 2 cycloaddition reaction. Let us discuss the most common example, that is 4 plus 2 cycloaddition. When one of the system has 4 pi electron, that is butadiene, and other has 2 pi electron and ethylene. When they add together, it occurs via a concerted mechanism and a cyclic transition state. So this is Diels-Alder reaction, and as a product we obtain cyclohexene. Now there are so many variations in it, and the ethylene molecule can have different substituents involved. It is not necessary that always we have ethylene here. Most of the time you have a substituted ethylene here, and these type of questions are a very important part of your CSIR net exam and JAM and all other important examinations like this. The Diels-Alder reaction, they form a major component of such type of question papers. At least you can expect 2 or 3 questions from this topic. So this topic is very very important, and the ethylene molecule can have substituent as well. It is the Diels-Alder reaction is the simplest possible example, and it occurs between the butadiene and ethylene to form a 6-membered ring. This reaction is spontaneous, like I have said. They have concerted mechanism, they occur quickly in single step, and sometimes they require a moderate application of heat. But how this reaction takes place? Now we need to discuss the mechanism. What is the mechanism? So now I will describe you the mechanism of these reactions by using my frontier orbital approach. Now we will go to the deep into the molecular orbitals. What type of molecular orbitals are present in the butadiene and ethylene that they react so quickly, and which make this reaction so fast and possible. So here you can see the molecular orbital diagram of butadiene. So if you remember, butadiene has 4 carbon atoms, right? It has 4 carbon atoms, and on these 4 carbon atoms, in case of butadiene, the 4 carbon atoms, each carbon will have a pz orbital, which is not taking part in the bonding process. Because in alkene we have sp2 hybridization, right? So one p orbital is free and it remains perpendicular to the plane of the molecule. And since you have 2 double bonds, generally in the conjugated system, it is considered that the pi electrons are not localized, rather they are delocalized. In case of conjugated system, what happens? You cannot decide what is the location of the double bond, because the pi electrons are delocalized over the entire molecule. And this is the reason of their different type of electrophilic addition reactions. So in case of butadiene, I have 4 carbons. So the 4 p orbitals are represented here. These are the atomic orbitals, and they combine to form a molecular orbital. Now we know that if I am combining 4 atomic orbitals on 4 carbon, now what will be the number of molecular orbital? When 4 atomic orbital will combine, they will form 4 molecular orbital. And I know that since they redistribute their energy among the 4 molecular orbital, 2 will belong to the bonding molecular orbital and 2 will be the anti-bonding molecular orbital. Okay, so this part of molecular orbital theory you have applied here. 4 atomic orbitals are combining and forming 4 molecular orbitals, where in case of 1,3-butadiene. Now these atomic orbitals will overlap in different possible configurations, and these are the 4 molecular orbitals that are possible. So in the lowest orbital, you can see this is the lowest energy molecular orbital. All the positive lobes are here. In the second case, two positive lobes and two positive lobes are on the upper side and two are the on the below side. And these are the different possible configurations. Other two are the anti-bonding molecular orbital. So linear combination of atomic orbital LCAO, it result into the formation of molecular orbital MO. So this is my molecular orbital. 4 carbon of butadiene. This is psi 1. Psi 1 is this molecular orbital. Psi 2, psi 3, psi 4. So psi 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the 4 molecular orbitals formed after the LCAO. Now, how many electrons it has? On each carbon, I will have 1 electron because 2 bonds are there. Na? We have 2 pi bonds, so 4 electrons we have. 4 pi electrons we have, so we will fill 4 pi electrons. So, psi 1, psi 2, psi 3, psi 4. These are the 4 molecular orbital. Now, in the ground state of the molecule, what will happen? We will fill the molecular orbital 1 electron, 2 electron, 3 and 4. Since these are the lower energy orbitals, the electron will not jump to the antibonding molecular orbital. Okay, the pairing will take place, and the after filling 1 electron into each of these orbitals, now the pairing of electron will take place. Because if the third electron go to the antibonding orbital, molecule is not having that much energy. So at the ground state, what happens? The pairing of electron takes place. And in case of ground state, what is my HOMO? Now can you guess? Which is my HOMO in the ground state? Psi 1, psi 2, psi 3, psi 4. Which one is the HOMO? Which one is the highest occupied molecular orbital in the ground state?
Psi 4.
No, psi 2. Psi 2 is the orbital which is having electron. Psi 2 is
Sorry, ma'am, highest occupied.
yes, highest occupied molecular orbital.
Psi
Yes.
4 तो LUMO है ना?
Psi 4 LUMO नहीं है. Psi 3 is LUMO in
Psi
case
3.
of ground
Psi
state.
3.
Yes, psi 3 is the LUMO, lowest unoccupied, because when you're talking about the unoccupied molecular orbital, it should have the lowest energy, right? You cannot take a higher energy orbital. It should have the lowest energy. So lowest
Yes.
unoccupied
Yes, ma'am.
molecular orbital. So I'm very glad that this concept is clear to you. That in the ground state of my butadiene molecule, my HOMO is psi 2 and my LUMO is psi 3. Now, what happens if I provide photochemical radiation to the molecule? If I excite it, if I provide photons to the molecule, what will happen? This photon will transfer its energy to the molecule. And now what will happen? One electron from psi 2 will jump to the higher energy orbital. Like all other type of electronic excitations that we have seen, electron occupy energy and it jumps to the excited energy state. So what happens now? The unpairing occurs in the psi 2 and one electron jumps to the psi 3. So in the photochemical condition, this excitation is possible only in the photochemical case. Okay. So when you are providing photochemical energy, now which one is my HOMO? Psi 1, psi 2, psi 3, psi 4. Which one is the HOMO if the molecule is in the excited state? Psi 3 will be my HOMO. Okay, so HOMO is changed. Now, HOMO is changed. Now, what is HOMO? Psi 3 is my HOMO in the excited state because it has one electron, right? This is highest occupied molecular orbital. And which one is LUMO? Psi 4. Psi 4 is the lowest unoccupied molecular orbital when my molecule is in the first excited state. Okay, so this is the when you address the molecular orbitals of butadiene. Okay, so in presence, when you proceed the reaction in the presence of heat, If you are performing your reaction in the presence of heat, then the HOMO of butadiene will combine with the LUMO of ene. Okay, LUMO of the ethylene. So HOMO will be Psi2 in case of heat. This molecular orbital will go for reaction. But when we have photochemical condition, when your molecule is excited, then Psi3 will be the molecular orbital that will go for the reaction. So the symmetry of orbital that is going for reaction is changed. So that is why these reactions are affected by heat or light. Is it clear? Okay, now let us go to the, yes. Now let us,
मैम
yes Nitu,
मैम क्विज नहीं है क्या आज?
फिर इसके बाद है.
मैम 10:50 हो गई इसलिए बोल रही थी.
हाँ, बस 2 मिनट और फिर छोड़ देंगे.
ठीक है मैम.
So let us quickly discuss the molecular orbital diagram of ethylene. Okay, so in ethylene we have 2 carbon and 1 pi bond. So 2p orbital on 2 carbon, they will go for the linear combination of atomic orbital, and we will get 2 molecular orbitals, right? Now since only 2 atomic orbitals are involved, we get only 2 molecular orbital. One will be the bonding one, another will be the anti-bonding one. In 1 pi bond I have 2 electrons. So when I fill these electrons in the ground state of the molecule, both the electrons will go to the bonding molecular orbital. And when I give excitation to the molecule, when I provide certain photon to the molecule, what will happen? One electron will be excited and it will go from bonding to anti-bonding orbital. So again I am asking you the same question. In the ground state of ethylene, what is HOMO and what is LUMO? In
मैम
the,
लूमो इज पाई वाला और वो क्या होमो पाई वाला और लूमो पाई स्टार वाला.
very good. And in case of the excited state of molecule,
मैम एक्साइटेड स्टेट में होमो जो हो जाएगा पाई स्टार हो जाएगा और लूमो पता नहीं.
in the excited state of molecule, rather than having some HOMO or LUMO, we have SOMO. So SOMO is what? Have you heard about SOMO? SOMO is singly occupied molecular orbital. And now these
मैम वो
molecular,
सोमो होता है.
yes. So now SOMO are used for the molecular orbital overlapping. So that is all from my side for today. The remaining topic we will continue tomorrow or maybe in our the next lecture. So now you can leave.